like on-air shifts or working with digital and social media platforms. The successful candidate should possess good organizational skills, multitasking abilities, night and weekend availability, and a positive attitude. Knowledge of computers is preferred, and play-by-play experience is also helpful. Visit the Help Wanted page at dailydodge.com for more information. To apply, email your cover letter and resume to czomer@goodkarmabrands.com. Apply now for this unique opportunity. Good Karma Broadcasting is an equal opportunity employer. 31 minutes after 1 o'clock from AM 1430 WBEV. Time once again for more of today's Community Comment. Here's your host, Craig Warmbold.
And our guests on this segment of Community Comment are in to talk about a couple exciting opportunities that are taking place in the city of Beaver Dam that kind of look back on where we have been and, maybe kind of say thank you to where we are presently. We've got local historian Roger Knoll here in the studio with us. Roger, it's good to see you. You're a little too far away from the microphone here. Didn't mean to kick all of your information down on you.
That's all right. It's good to be here. Thank you.
We also got Anita Strike. Anita's got a title that is sometimes, I'm going to take a stab at it since it's written here for me. Information and Community Services Librarian.
Right. It's hard to fit on a business card.
Thanks for joining us today, Anita.
Thank you.
Now, we're here to talk about a bunch of things. We're going to talk about a mural artiversary that's coming up here in July. But first, next week, Roger, you've got a fitting presentation, seeing as how we've got all this referendum stuff going on in the school district and things are changing at a fast pace right now. You've got a program that is focused on the schools.
That's right. We're going to do a program on the history of Beaver Dam schools, starting from the very beginning, from the first one-room schoolhouse to right up to today.
Now, this is going to be when?
This is going to be next Tuesday, the 12th, at 6 o'clock at the library in the basement.
You get a good turnout at these things, guys?
Oh, yes. We have to try to find extra chairs from upstairs to accommodate all the people.
We had around 80, 90 people at the last one.
Mm-hmm. Is that, now, the last one was City Streets?
Right.
Yeah.
How did that go? Was that good?
It was fabulous.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Another good turnout for that. Fantastic. This one, again, will be in the basement. From a library perspective, do you guys make things available for those in attendance, refreshments, anything like that we should be aware of?
We did through the holiday season, but it has been hard to accommodate 100 plus with refreshments.
Did I just obligate you to something with that question?
We'll see what we can come up
Perhaps
with.
a volunteer member of the community wants to bring some Danish or something to the event. Prepare for 100.
One thing I promised to bring out, we have a lot of different archives, which I don't think I've showed Roger, from some of the different schools, like school programs. We have different graduation invitations. I think the earliest one I found was like from the 1920s.
Wow.
Or a little bit earlier.
You realize you're blowing Roger's mind here. You've got some artifacts that you haven't shown him yet?
The Historical Society has them going back to like 1890.
I'm sure,
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Roger, I assume you already did this research in the historical archives and everything that you're going to be presenting here?
I believe so. And I found some fascinating stuff that... This has been truly the hardest one that I've ever had to research.
Now, you've done a lot. We mentioned City Streets, the Fred McMurray stuff,
Starkweather films.
Just the Starkweather films alone was a 3-part series. This has been the hardest.
Yeah, because there just doesn't nobody seems to agree about when the schools were, which schools were here, how many were there, where they were located, what type of structure they were. So, but I think I've really got it pretty well narrowed down now.
No, but nobody agrees about physical buildings?
Yeah. I mean, they'll say that this building was here and it was used for that. For instance, there was a church that was on city property at the corner of Lincoln and Prairie, and Prairie was like different street than what it is now.
You'd have known that if you attended the streets presentation.
Right, and there's only one reference that I could ever find to that, and that's a picture in the Centennial book.
Huh.
Otherwise, Mary Spellman in the Centennial book wrote an entire supposedly history of Beaver Dam schools, never mentions this school. And then another school I found.
What school would that have been again?
That would have been the. I always get these wrong. First, second, Third Ward School.
It would have been called Third Ward School.
Yes.
That would have been the name of it.
Yeah.
We had aldermanic wards at a point where we couldn't even keep
when it first started,
historical records.
Yeah, the first school started in 1845. There was actually a school in 1842, but a physical school that was built, which is still in the city. It's on East Mill Street.
Really?
And
is it operational? Is it an operational building?
No, yeah. Somebody lives there.
Really?
Yeah, it's like 24 by 50 feet. It's just like a straight on kind of like.
And it
building.
dates back to it's 1845.
1845 it was built.
That's the first building.
That was the very first that was dedicated to Beaver Dam schools.
Wow.
And it was located at where the police station is now.
Oh.
Well, where the old YMCA was.
Where the old YMCA. That was the first school building,
right.
Official school building. Was it even run by the city at that point? Is there any way of knowing what the...
Well, it wasn't a city then. It was just a village or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, what were there? I think I looked up there, at that time there were maybe like 70 people, 90 people in this. Wow. In the area.
No kidding. So it was not. You didn't.
It was your basic one-room schoolhouse.
One-room schoolhouse. Yeah. And then the Third Ward School would have been the second or the third one.
No, well, this is where it gets really complicated. So, like, how do I explain this? So they started as one article says. Well, they just started renting buildings all over the place. Huh. So they weren't technically schools. Like if you watch like Little House on the Prairie, or if you watch like When Calls the Heart, usually it was in a church, or it could have been in a hotel bar type situation. That happened a couple of times, where it was in a building called the Manahan Building, which is where the Milwaukee House was. Oh. And the Milwaukee House was located on Center and Ryan.
Cantafio Way.
It would have been on that corner. There was a building there. There was
a physical school building dedicated just to school.
No, not a school building. It was a hotel.
Oh, the bar again, a hotel bar.
Yeah,
I learned a lot in bars myself, so I imagine it was probably not too bad for.
So in what happened was we became a city in 1956, and that's when we went in. 1856. Did I say 19?
Yeah.
That's right.
1856. And then that's when the city was divided up into these 4 wards.
Oh.
And this is the first. And I found this article, and this I had not known before either. There was one school that was south of the river, and there was one school that was north of the river.
One-room schoolhouses?
No, actually they were kind of big by this time, because this is 1856, and this is after the Germans.
Oh.
From 1850 to 1860, when the German migration took place, Beaver Dam increased by 500%.
Wow. And the schools had to keep up with that.
Right. So in this, the one south of the river was in this Manahan building, I believe. I've kind of narrowed that one down. The one north of the river really wasn't north. It was where the city hall is right now.
Okay.
And it was called Union School. And that was quite a large school. And that also had the high school in it too. But there's some question as to whether the Union School was really there at that time, or whether it was like a stick building. But we'll talk about that too.
Fast forwarding a few years, not to spend too much time in our past, but folks can go to your program to learn a little bit more about how that's put together. I was walking by the middle school with my daughter yesterday, and walking the dog, and I said, I told her about Fred McMurray and everything like that, and I said, she's going to the middle school next year. I said, this is the high school where Fred McMurray went. Right. Was I right about that?
That's correct.
Okay.
He was one of the first classes in that school.
Yeah, so the middle school used to be the high school. We've seen a lot of that over the years of building.
And where Wilson was, that was the old high school.
That was the old high school. Or the old middle?
No, that was the old high school.
That was the old high school.
And it was a huge building, huge white building. I mean, it was one that there are certain buildings that you put on postcards, and that kind of stuff. And that was one of them that always appeared on postcards.
Really? And then there's evidence of that, obviously a lot of evidence of that today.
A lot of pictures of that school. And that school kind of went into disrepair. And there's an interesting story that this guy named Ron Edgerton went to school there. He was a classmate of Fred McMurray's, and he actually wrote a biography of his life. And one of the interesting stories in it was that towards the end, just before they changed over from that high school to the middle school, being the high school, he said that they could actually, what the students would do is during assembly or whatever it was, they would actually start pounding their feet, and they could actually make the building move from side to side. And this was a big stone brick structure.
So the building inspector may not approve that in modern times for children.
What's interesting is after they moved that school to the middle school site, they
moved the physical school?
Well, no.
Oh, the high school.
Yeah. They kept that school as a grade school.
Well, the kids
they're smaller, right?
Wow. When did Wilson, as we know it now, get built?
Like in the 1950s, I think.
Do you spend a lot of time on the modern schools?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There'll be a lot on that, and the country schools.
We all grew up during this era. Well, some of us older people, Anita, grew up during this era. Were there things that, even though you kind of grew up and kind of maybe knew these schools and how they worked, that surprised you when you were doing your research?
Well, again, just the location and finding out that, oh wait, there was a different type of school. For instance, I found an article in 1954 where this man said, oh, this building that I own in the backyard was a school, and we're tearing it down now. And so he starts explaining, he's like 95 years old, and he's explaining that, yeah, my wife went to school. It ends up that was the original Lincoln School, the Third Ward School. And it was just like a one-room schoolhouse. I mean, it was very small, and there's a picture of it in this article. So, yeah, that kind of stuff surprised me.
I imagine before you had like National Historic Registry stuff, you could just kind of do stuff like that. You could tear down a community's oldest or older school and not have to worry about registries or anything like that. And so that history is lost.
Yeah, a lot of it was. Just kind of like ignored. Again, like I said, the one article said that we were growing so fast in the 1850s that they just had to rent space wherever they could find it around the city. For instance, they rented space in the Grace Presbyterian School, Grace Presbyterian Church. That was right across from the one-room schoolhouse.
Oh, okay.
And there were a bunch of private schools too, of course. I mean. There's of course St. Patrick, St. Michael's, St. Pete's, St. Stephen's, Hillcrest School for Girls, Wayland.
You're right.
And
did you cover Wayland at all?
Yeah,
in this conversation?
I actually did their archive and did their museum up there, so I'm pretty knowledgeable about Wayland.
Generally speaking, how much has that campus evolved over 100? What are we at? Almost 60 years now?
Yeah, it was 1855.
Wow. Okay.
When it started. Well, that school almost didn't make it at all. Into about a few months, the contractor went bankrupt because they decided to go with white brick instead of red brick, red brick was Beaver Dam brick. Each city had their own brick maker. And Beaver Dam's brick was red, and they didn't want that. They wanted something a little more fancy. So they had to ship it in from Milwaukee, and then cart it all the way from Milwaukee. There was no train service to Beaver Dam at that point.
Oh wow.
So it almost ended before it started. But of course, Wayland started as a university, a school for boys. And then almost immediately it went into a preparatory school.
Okay. Was it a nursing school at some point?
No, never. Then it right after the war, it went to a junior college to kind of take advantage of the GI Bill and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And then and it continued to be a prep school too. And then it went to finally to prep school. And supposedly it's the first co-ed preparatory school, high school, private in the nation.
Do we still have the white brick buildings on that campus?
Oh, well, that's Wayland Hall.
That is Wayland Hall.
Yeah. And Wayland Hall originally looked totally different. I mean, all those pillars and all that trim, that was all dark.
Oh.
When it was originally done, and there are pictures of that. And then of course, I mean, it just the girls' dorm came, and then all of the subsequent buildings. They were pretty well settled early on, probably by the 1900s, as to their buildings, except for the dyed dormitories in the back and the science. And of course, they tore down that beautiful building and put up the Swan Library.
Oh, right.
Now, I'm not saying anything bad about the Swan Library, but even President Eston said that was one of his greatest regrets, is that they tore down that building.
I was in the Dodge County Historical Society with my youngest daughter not too long ago, and we took a picture next to the Hillcrest Boarding School for Girls picture that is there. And I always say, now if you get in trouble, we're going to send you to Hillcrest, to the boarding school. But I have no idea what Hillcrest Boarding School is. Are you going to talk about that at all during this?
Sure. That was run by Ms. Davison.
It was like a boarding school?
It was.
For troubled girls?
No.
Oh, okay, all right.
A good cause.
It was, and it started off with just one student.
Really?
And it started on Park Avenue.
Huh.
And its location is, I think it's, trying to think, 238. It's the one with the Beaver in the front.
Oh.
Okay, that was its first location. Then it moved towards downtown, and it went into the J.J. Williams House, which was right next to the Swan House.
Okay.
And then it moved down to the what was called the Chandler Congdon houses, which were those two houses where Associated Bank is now, right, and the next bank over.
Sure.
There actually was a tunnel underneath that went between those two buildings, so the girls wouldn't have to go outside. Oh. There's that building that's behind Associated Bank. That was a dormitory. And then there was like a tennis court and all that kind of stuff in there. Okay. I mean, the kids were like from first grade to 8th grade.
What was the purpose of that school?
It was just a private school.
Just a private school geared toward girls.
One of their big brochure things was, Hillcrest girls are happy, but I mean, I just cannot imagine anyone sending their kid that's like 5 or 6 years old.
It was a boarding school.
Yeah.
So they were overnight.
Oh yeah. And they had people from as far away as like Puerto Rico and Switzerland.
Oh, really?
And Mary Swan went there.
No kidding. What era would that have been open?
It closed in the 1940s,
okay,
like 1945, and opened, I'm going to say like 1890, is that?
Wow.
That sounds about right.
Quite a history there.
Yeah.
So are you going to be, we mentioned that you're going to be covering some of the more modern schools. I assume you meant public schools with that. Are you going to be covering some of the parochial schools as well?
Yeah, I mean, all of the St. Mike, St. Pat, St. Pete's will be covered. We'll cover their history.
Talking again about a program by
Stephen's.
St. Stephen's by local historian Roger Knoll.
The Lutherans out.
It's on Tuesday, June 12th at 6 p.m. in the library basement. Will this just be a pictorial and an oral kind of presentation?
Well, a PowerPoint. But then afterwards, we will show a brief film from 1938 that documents what I think it's movies of Lincoln School and the middle school or the high school then. And it's kind of interesting because in 1937, Beaver Dam won the state championship in basketball, and you get to see kind of some of the members of that team. For instance, Lyman Lindy is on that team,
oh, wow,
and you get to see all of the the bands and the choruses and the technical school parts of it, drafting and all that kind of stuff. So it's pretty interesting.
Right. So video, pictures, and then of course a presentation by you.
And we'll also
Homecoming.
also showing some homecoming movies of the homecoming parades from the 1960s.
What would those be? The first video images that you've been able to find?
No.
You got some earlier. Huh?
These are actually my family's home movies.
Okay. Yeah. Are you in some of these, Roger?
No, I'm not.
Or your family members?
For some reason, when it came time for me to be in the parade, the camera wasn't working. It's just my sisters.
Oh, that's from the 1960s. Some more things that'll be featured in the Beaver Dam History Series, History of the Schools of Beaver Dam. Again, that's this coming Tuesday, June 12th at 6 p.m. in the library basement. This really fits, hand in glove, I would think, into what it is that the library's mission is as far as being able to educate the community about local happenings and their own history.
Right. We really strongly believe in lifelong learning, and we're just so excited. Roger keeps on coming up with different history ideas that we can present and share Beaver Dam history. We found out during the 175th anniversary how much Beaver Dam was craving for learning more about their history, so we've been trying to offer as much as we can.
And you're also, as part of that, offering kind of a glimpse into recent history as well, and I'm talking about the mural festival that we had last year.
Right, so last year the library had a mural put on their building as part of the Mural Fest, and we decided to have a first-year birthday party of the library mural at the Mural Artiversary, which is July 12th at 2 o'clock. We invited Roger back because if he didn't come out to the library during the Mural Fest, he brought the rendition of the Monarch Calliope out and played music while the artist painted.
How did that go? Are your Calliope skills improving, Roger?
Well, no, the music was fine.
It was fabulous.
It's just one of the artists just
didn't care for it.
I just can't work like this.
Well, no, I guess people aren't used to working to Calliope, maybe.
I guess.
No, and then for people not familiar, Roger, this Calliope that she's talking about, the replica of the Monarch, can you kind of give us a 30-second rundown of what it is she's talking about?
Sure. In the early 1940s through the 70s, Monarch, Malleable Iron Range Company, the maker of Monarch stoves, had a Calliope created, and that Calliope was used in just about every parade that Beaver Dam had during that time period, entertained at Swan City Park numerous times, especially on circus night. And so it was really a tradition. And so what I did is I found a Calliope that was basically the same kind of model as the one that was used back then, and then recreated the wagon that carries it.
Well, and that's going to be featured on Thursday, July 12th at the Mural Artiversary.
Right.
Did that pass spell check, Artiversary? Were you able? Okay.
No.
Took some liberties, that's okay.
Sarah, our youth services librarian.
It has a hyphen.
It does, yeah. We'll give you the hyphen there.
Right.
A great opportunity to look back on the, talk about a huge milestone in Beaver Dam's history, the Mural Festival last year.
Definitely. So we're going to have chalk art also. People can come and be their own artists on library sidewalks, and we'll be having face painting and some treats.
All right, check it out. It's on July 12th. Now you gave me this postcard of now this is the mural that was painted on the library.
Yes, it was. So we have a postcard that you can actually send in the mail, and has our library information on the back as well.
And these
we're going to be giving them out during the Artiversary.
Are these available right now? If folks wanted to go to the library and pick up a couple, you have to wait till the Artiversary.
Exclusive.
Wow.
Exclusive.
You've seen it here first, folks. That is art, face painting, Calliope by Roger Knoll at the Mural Artiversary, Thursday, July 12th. What other kind of things you got coming up at the library, Anita?
Well, you weren't here for the last community comment where I was here, and Sarah, Youth Services librarian, are here. But we kicked off our summer library program.
How's that going?
This last week. It's been going fabulous.
Great.
We just had a great response and
Wonderful.
A great first week. Coming up on Monday is the first day to pick up your prizes if you're doing the summer program. And if you didn't get in on it yet, you're still welcome to pick up a program bag and start the program. Along with the reading program, we also have actually the calendar is absolutely packed with stuff going on, which I talked about a few weeks ago. But something that's coming up tomorrow is the Paddle Festival, and our librarian, Sarah, is going to be out there doing story times from 9 to 10:30.
Wonderful.
And then on Thursday of next week, at 2 o'clock, Miss Kim's Amazing Animals will be there. She's a local person. I feel like she has a zoo. Sarah was telling me all the animals she's going to have. She has hedgehogs, chinchillas, reptiles, and the list goes on. I think she named about 10 animals, and I could only remember 4 or 5 of them.
That'll be in the library?
Right.
I thought just dogs were allowed in the library.
Nope, we're letting more in now.
Very good.
Right.
That is this coming Thursday.
Yeah, this coming Thursday,
the
June
14th.
June 14th.
Wonderful. What else you got on your list there?
Then following up, Sarah's going to be doing a program Friday morning. Each Friday morning, actually, we call it Friday Fun, and kids can come down starting at 10 o'clock to do something. And this coming Friday will be treasure maps. She's going to take, use your imagination, please bring it. But she has craft paper, and you're going to make your own treasure maps. And maybe she'll have some hidden treasure as well.
All right. That is going to be a regular thing you're doing on Fridays.
Yes,
you're going to want to try to do?
Friday Fun.
Awesome.
Every Friday, because the kids don't have school, summer school on Fridays, so we came up with a program to kind of fill in the week.
Very good. And then looks like a geocaching opportunity.
Right. This is for all ages. June 19th is a Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. We have veteran geocachers, Sherry and Dennis Eward, and they're coming out just to talk about what geocaching is and how you can find them in our community. Do you know how many geocaches are in Beaver Dam?
Yes, I do. There are 1,422.
Oh my.
I have no idea how many there are. Do you know how many there are?
Last time I checked, there was 189.
Really?
Can you believe it?
So you can go onto the website and see all that.
Right. And we did this program, I would say, when geocaching first took off, maybe about 10 years ago, and there were 22.
Really?
So it's grown that much.
So you learn all about it at Geocaching for Beginners on June 19th. And then, of course, Roger will be out at the Mural Artiversary on Thursday, July 12th with his Calliope. Is the Calliope going to be making any more appearances this summer?
It will be in the Columbus July 4th parade.
All right, very good. We'll be looking forward to it. And you'll be playing. Have you been practicing your scales?
No.
He's great at it.
In the meantime, next up is
I can plug it in as well as anyone can.
Next up, though, is the Beaver Dam History Series, History of the Schools of Beaver Dam. A great opportunity.
Can I tell just one little story?
Please.
Okay.
That's why you're here, Roger.
I'm going to look at some of the early graduates and how, the famous ones. But a lot of people don't know this story, and I don't tell it that often, but Beaver Dam came, and I'm glad we've got the camera, came that close to having a president.
Really?
From here. And his name was John Thurston. He graduated from Beaver Dam High School and also graduated from Wayland. Studied law, went out to Nebraska, and he became a lawyer, and he also became a senator. And when President McKinley was being nominated, actually, this Thurston nominated him, he was McKinley's first choice for vice president.
Really?
And of course, we all know what happened to McKinley. He was assassinated.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if Thurston had said yes instead of no, we would have a president from Beaver Dam, Wisconsin.
Wow. Do we know why he said no?
No, I would only guess that he, back then, if we think a vice president doesn't do much now. I mean, right. They did nothing back then.
They waited.
Yeah. So, yeah, but of course we would have been deprived one of the greatest presidents, Theodore Roosevelt. But boy, we could have had maybe like a presidential library right here in Beaver Dam, you know.
Would have, wouldn't that be something?
Wouldn't it have been cool?
Oh, wow. What a shoulda, coulda. It's just some of the things that you'll learn at the Beaver Dam History Series, History of Schools of Beaver Dam. Again, a great opportunity, Anita, for folks to look back at Beaver Dam's history, and a perfect offering for the library. Leave us with your final thoughts about why folks should check this out and the other opportunities at the library.
Well, library rocks, and that's our theme for this summer program.
Wrap it all up for us, if you would, Roger.
Well, if you want to learn about the schools, if you went to school here, this might be a good thing to come see.
All right. On that note, I want to thank you very much for joining me on the program today, Roger.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Anita, it's great to see you again. We look forward to the next conversation with both of you. I do want to thank all of our guests on the Community Comment program for joining us. And we'll remind you that the Beaver Dam History Series, History of the Schools of Beaver Dam, is this coming Tuesday, June 12th at 6 p.m. in the library basement of the Beaver Dam Community Library. Real quick, there is some construction going on in that area. Is there anything people need to be aware of?
Construction. You'll have to enter the library parking lot through the 3rd Street entrance, and it is open, and it's also open to Blue Boy.
Yeah, that road will say road closed to through traffic,
right?
But that doesn't mean that you can't go there for Blue Boy or for the library.
But you have to come in
through
through Lincoln, though, right?
Come in through Lincoln. Right. Excellent point. Yeah, so yeah, you can't come in through North Spring Street. It just would not be possible. With that is going to do it for today's Community Comment.
This is AM 1430 WBEV Beaver Dam, streaming online at dailydodge.com. Take advantage of the Countryside Ford Quick Lane Works package. Oil change, tire rotation, and free inspection, just $39.95. No appointment necessary. Available Monday through Saturday. Stop in for an AC check, too. Countryside Ford, 330 Transit Road, Columbus.
I'm the sales director you're looking for.
But when you post on Indeed.com, you get the candidates just right for you.
I'm a sales director with an MBA, over 10 years experience, who's also fluent in Japanese.
With Indeed, you can add screener questions for a less time-consuming route to your short list of qualified candidates.
Arigato.
Hiring's better when you've got your short list. Save time on hiring when you post a job on Indeed. Get started today at Indeed.com/hire.
It's time to join the millions of people using Zoom video conferencing. Turn any size conference room, huddle room, or executive office into a Zoom room with flawless HD video, crystal clear audio, and instant wireless sharing. It'll even work with your existing hardware. Start your meetings with a single touch.